Hello everybody, welcome to Mikey's first yoga video. It's going to be a slow class today. Foundations of Yoga Part 1. It's intended for beginners at yoga. We're just beginning with 10 breaths seated in cross-leg. Shoot for 5-second inhales and a 5-second to 10-second hold, and then a 5-second exhale, but whatever works for you. Everyone breathes differently, you know? And so while you're breathing, we'll just talk a little bit about what the video's going to be geared towards. And that is going to be either people with injuries, people coming into yoga who are beginners, people who've been sedentary for a while. And if you can master all of these foundations of yoga videos, then you'll be a-okay to move on to more advanced poses. Just keep breathing in and out. Start building up your affirmations in your head. You can use yoga time as a time for spiritual strengthening and strengthening your willpower, or you can use it as a time to harbor negative attitudes and thoughts. So you got to make sure you're taking down those negative thoughts and building yourself up with something you can believe in. And that's what you take the meditation time in the beginning and the end of yoga class. That's what that's for. And you use that to become one with your breath. The whole class you're breathing, but right in the beginning, that's your time to hone in and focus. If you don't focus right there, alright, we're moving into all fours position. Just toss your legs to the side a little bit. And we're going to begin with a child's pose to warm up the hips. Typical for a beginning yoga class. Probably start with a wide-legged, so your belly can fit through. For me, I tend to find that the wide-legged child's pose is easier. So we're just going to take 3 breaths down in child's pose. Once you made it there, and then we'll add some movement in a little bit. Take 3 deep breaths in child's pose. When you breathe in, lengthen the spine, and when you breathe out, release. I can do some yoga while I'm recording this video. And I did do some yoga while I recorded this video, so kind of works out. I think maybe we took 5 breaths down here. That's okay, more time to warm up the better. So this video is going to be, this routine is going to be a warm-up, a long warm-up with some sun salutations, and then a couple of standing poses for beginners, and kneeling poses, and then a cool down with some stretching and some spinal twists and whatnot. Pretty basic, but if you use these as your foundational moves, you'll be a-okay. You'll be good to go to that hard stuff. Alright, we're coming out of child's pose. We're going to begin some hip rotations and some cat-cow. So first we'll do some hip rotations. Just go clockwise, back and forth. Bring yourself forward into all fours. Bring yourself backwards into all fours. Come down a little bit to the right. Move your hips a little bit to the left, come forward. Just kind of do a little bit of a circle. You can be free-formed with these types of movements. They're mostly to get you warmed up and get you into your hips and into your body. A lot of times our glutes are shut down and our low backs are tight, so that's why we do this. Open up the energy waves for you. After a couple of them, you can start going the other direction. About 3 each side. Clockwise and counterclockwise. And then get ready for cat-cows. Breathe on the way up. Extend your hips and extend your head back. And then exhale on the way down. Round your back. Breathe on the way up. Exhale on the way down and round your back. And do one more at your own pace. Now we're moving into some, I don't know what to call these, side cat and cows. Kind of squeeze your obliques on one side. Draw your head to that direction. It's kind of like drawing your shoulder to your hips, and you can breathe in when you come to the center, and then breathe out when you go to one side. Going back and forth about 5 times. Just as an additional move to warm up. Get some healthy movement in there for beginners. And then after here is where I do a free-form area. I rotate my shoulders, my neck, my hips. I'm breathing slowly throughout this, trying to keep my breath smooth even though the movement's a bit erratic. I added a quick move in there. You could do a hovering cat if you want. I believe that's what it's called. Go up on your toes. It's a good strengthener for the core. It's a nice warm up because for me it's easier than some of the other core exercises in yoga. So put your hands forward about a handprint, and then move back up in a downward dog and start pedaling out your feet. Getting your legs warmed up. You can keep your legs super bent. If you notice, mine are very bent because on my first downward dog I like to be very careful with my hamstrings and my calves. Keep my back as straight as possible, hips as high as I can. Looks like my hands could be plugged into the ground a little bit more. I tend to get lazy with my hands being plugged into the ground. Your pointer finger and your thumb should be way in there. Alright, just pedaling and out, getting super used to downward dogs. You're going to be doing a lot of downward dogs if you're really starting this yoga journey. You can spin your heels up and then place them off to each side if you want to get a nice little side stretch in there. Up to you, just showing you some variations early on that aren't too difficult. Now walk your feet forward. I'd prefer if you walked them forward because this is foundations of yoga, and then keep your knees bent and do a forward fold. You can sway back and forth and take some deep breaths. And breathe on your way up. Exhale down. And we're coming all the way up. Slow spinal roll up. One vertebrae at a time. You know the deal. Coming up real slow. Try to keep your shoulders not too far, not too close to your ears. I like to keep them all over the way. And when you get all the way up, you're finishing your deep breath. Exhaling to center with your hands. And breathe back up. And swan dive down. And back in forward fold. Go back to downward dog, and then here we're going to do a kneeling plank for our chaturanga to keep it easier for beginners. You should master kneeling chaturangas before you move into normal chaturangas. So exhale to the floor, breathe your way up for a low prone cobra. You get a little bit extra time to do your cobra. Kind of plan that in there. Also, I didn't memorize my video, that's my fault. But we're just starting here. And I like to do lots of cobras. They help me in my chest and my scapulas back there. Get some extra strength in the back that you don't usually get during your day, unless you're specifically exercising those muscles. We're doing another cobra. Breathe on your way up, exhale on your way down. And we're coming all the way back. I like to come up on my knees when I'm training in a foundational way and not doing my advanced practice. And we're back in downward dog, pedaling out, stepping forward. And forward fold, we're going to swing and breathe for a bit. And in the second, we're going to do a half lift with breathe on the way up. I'll tell you when to go if you're following along with me. Breathe on the way up, halfway lift. Exhale back down, knees bent. And come all the way up with a deep breath, however you want. Nice and smooth. Breathe your hands up. And bring them to center. Now breathe your hands up again. We're going to do a side stretch up here. So knock your right hand down. Stretch your left obliques. Put your left hand over. Deep breaths into the side body. Try to maintain a stable spine. Don't just let it collapse into your obliques on your right side. Still want to have a long spine, but it's going to be curved so you can stretch your side body. Now inhale your hand back up. Exhale your left hand down. Now we're stretching the right side. Take about 5 deep breaths slowly here. Focus on that. When you're doing stretches, you really want to focus on your breath. And that'll tell you if there's any pain in your body or give you any feedback that you need to make any changes that you're going to want. Now breathe your hands back up. Swan dive back down. And we're going back into, you guessed it, downward dog. Oh, plank. Oh, I'm doing a full chaturanga. Okay, never mind. You could go back to downward dog, or you could go and do another chaturanga with upward dog. Keeping your shoulders down and away from your ears. That's a cue that you'll always have to remember. And we're pushing back into downward dog. Taking some deep breaths, always pedal in and out. I'm a fan of the pedal. You don't have to pedal as much as me. You can just stick with the stretch. I'm walking my hands back to my feet this time to get a little different movement. And we're going in a chair pose. So, breathe your way up. Sink your butt and your hips back. Should look like a lightning bolt. Keep your spine long from your buttocks to the top of your head. And your legs, they're bent as deep as you can go. Don't go too deep. Then curve yourself back down after a couple of breaths. Separate your feet a little bit. I like to do that after chair pose. And we're doing some more forward folding. Forward folding, it's underrated. It's great. Halfway lift. Breathe back down. Exhale. Reverse swan dive. Breathe your way up. Hands to center at mountain. We're going to move into, here's a little break for you. We're going to move into some more chaturanga work with some low lunges. This will prepare you for warrior poses down the road. Breathe your hands up. Exhale down. Crawl your way forward. Shoulders over wrists. Keep your elbows tucked in. And if you can't do chaturangas, you can always replace that with a kneeling chaturanga. If you can't do kneeling chaturangas, then you're going to have to look for some other sort of beginner exercise to get you there. You should be able to do chaturangas if you're at an appropriate weight. I'm going to move it back. We're breathing up into mountain pose once more. It's me giving myself a Grundy. No, I'm just kidding. I'd leave it there if I had one. Gotta love a good Grundy. And we're sinking back down, exhaling, swan diving down, crawling back into chaturanga. Sinking all the way to our chest. I like to go all the way down. Once you're stronger, you can hover. I'm doing upward dog, breathing, and then exhaling back into a downward dog. You got a little bit more time. Lift your right leg back for three-legged dog. Bring your knee forward. Step it by your foot. Step it by your hand, I mean. And sink your back knee. You can use a pillow under your knee. I would suggest a pillow. The only reason I'm not doing that is because I'm stubborn. Put a pillow under your knee if you're smart. And sink your hips forward. Pull your right hip back. Twist your left hip forward a little bit so they're squared up a little. You don't have to do it all the way. Don't crank on it, but make sure that muscle activation is there. And then inhale your hands up. I'm giving myself a little shoulder massage to relax. Feel free to do things like this during your yoga practice. It's all about you. I like to set my shoulders in. I have scapulas I'm working on, so that's always something I'm conscious of. And then come back into sort of lizard variation with your palms on the ground and We're just doing some slight rocking to the left and right and forward and back to open up the hips while gaining some strength in the low lunge position. Now bring your foot back. You're in all fours now. Breathe in slowly. We're doing a kneeling plank, kneeling chaturanga. Low cobra. Couple of low cobras. So put your feet back under, push up to plank, downward dog. And we're going to do the low lunge on the other side. So bring your left foot back, three-legged dog, forward, nice and smooth, as slow as you can. Try not to smash your foot down. It's something I'm working on myself. You breathe up. You're in crescent lunge, crescent low lunge. Make sure to pad up your knee. You can use blocks if blocks are necessary. You can put your hands on them to give you a little bit more lift in your chest and make the stability a little easier. Taking a couple breaths in here to build some strength for future warrior poses. Make sure to smile once in a while. You can see me smiling there. Future videos will be more quality. The recording is going to split in a second here. Still in crescent lunge, breathing back down. Bring your foot back. Oh wait, not yet, sorry about that. I always forget I like to sit in the low lunge for a little bit to get a little bit more stretching first, and then bring your foot back. Go up into plank or kneeling plank, do a chaturanga. Here I'm doing a full version of upward dog. I don't got the greatest mobility in that position, but rock your hands back. Take a forward fold, halfway lift, and you can come up however which way you please. Circle your hands up above and come into standing mountain pose with your hands at center. The wide-legged stance, feet pointed out. Squat down into goddess pose. You can put your hands on your legs if you want extra stability. Make it a little bit easier. Hands above head if it's already too easy. Taking a couple breaths here in goddess pose. And we're pointing our feet forward, wide-legged forward fold. We're breathing on the way up. Swan diving down. Keep your legs activated while you go down. That'll teach you how to activate your glutes and hamstrings better. Left arm down, right arm up, however far you can get it. One breath up. Breath down, switching to the other arm. Don't push too far on those. Just go up as far as your body will let you. It takes a little movement there. You don't want to make big progress every time. You want to make yourself stronger and your willpower stronger. You don't need to make your muscles or your joints hurt. Seeking power. Alright. I'm going to breathe back up in your mountain pose. With a straight back. That's usually how you come out of wide-legged forward fold, is have a straight back. And we're taking another standing pose. It's tree pose. Everyone's favorite balancing pose, right? We're going to take it on both sides, about 5 breaths. You can put your foot on your calf or on your upper inner thigh. Just don't put it on your knee joint and push your knee out too hard. That would be bad. Yep. There, you got a warning. We're just trying to get a nice variety of moves that are all pretty simple, but they all help a lot. Alright, switch to the other side for tree pose. I like to do little bends in my knees in between just to make sure I'm not going to stand bow-legged. You always want to have a very soft bend in your standing leg. Rotate the leg that's resting on the calf or the upper leg. You rotate that outwards. Try to keep it in line with your other leg. And try to keep your hips level too as well. Those are the things you have to watch for in tree pose. The more level your hips are, the better. That's why you don't necessarily want to put your foot up on your upper thigh if you maybe someone with bigger muscles or a different type of body, and you'll have a hiked up hip if you do that. Alright, so come out of tree pose, breathe your way up to mountain, swan dive down and come forward into plank. Kneeling plank is an option as well. So even I take kneeling plank sometimes just to get a gentler movement in my body. We're taking a couple breaths face down, and on the exhale, breathe up into locust pose. You're lifting your back. Pretty much all your back muscles are going to come up. Be picking you up. Your head goes up, but don't crank your neck back. Keep your neck in line with your spine. Took a couple breaths up in locust pose. We're going to take one more after a couple breaths. Get your breath ready. You're coming back into it. Take your time to get a deep breath. And exhale on the way up. Your shoulders should be lifted. Your feet should be lifted. Make sure you activate your glutes here too. If you have dead glutes from sitting on them a long time, they can be kind of hard to activate in this pose. That'll keep your low back from cramping too, I noticed. The more you activate your glutes, the less this pose affects your low back. And exhale on the way down. Take a little rest on the ground. I should really learn what that pose is called. I know there's a name for the face down pose. We're coming up into all fours. Back into a child's pose to rest. We're going to move into a glute bridge sequence in a second here. Anyway, we're just talking about the glutes. Yep, you always want to target your glutes every day with your yoga. You can come back into seated however you please. And then lower your spine slowly onto the ground. I always get some gentle pops when I do that, and it feels good. And then tuck your shoulder blades under, tuck your feet in. Your hands should be pretty close to your heels. Legs both straight forward like french fries, but don't eat french fries. And then slowly lift your hips up. Your glutes should be driving towards your calves. You don't necessarily have to extend your hips super far and like crank your low back. You just have to make a straight line and then activate your glutes and push them towards your calves. You're not pushing too overly high, you know. Trying to build strength and stability for the glutes, not just attack their end range of movement, you know. So I breathe on the way down. We're going to do another. We're sticking with, pretty sure, just glute bridges today. In future practices, we'll move into wheel pose and some of the harder ones. Breathe on the way up into glute bridge. Take another 5 breaths or so here, I believe. 5 deep ones. 5 deep ones for the boys. Cracking them open. Cracking them open. A new take on life. A new breath. A new attitude. Attitude matters, dude. Attitude matters, dude. Sometimes in between glute bridge sequences, I like to copy other yoga teachers and put my feet out wide and then cave my knees in. That's a nice release for the low back. Getting ready for our last glute bridge. So here I'm actually a little bit low, but it still works. Still a good exercise. Going too far is when you know you've done too much. Constantly breathing in slowly, taking a second to let my lungs accept the breath and give myself a little room to be patient and a little room to gain some peace, and then I breathe out. Yeah, I feel like if you don't take that, and then I always end the glute bridges with a reclining cobbler's pose. I think that's what that's called. Baddha-Konasana? I don't know. I'm learning. I'll get there. Extend my legs out. And we're going into figure 4 pose. Yeah. Whatever side you want to start with, bro. That's cool. Put your hands through your legs. I go behind the hamstring. You could, if you got better flexibility, you can go on the shin with your hands. Or you could even like grab the sides of your thigh if you really had bad. Or your pant leg if you have, or you could use a strap. You have a bunch of options. Basically just gently pulling in the top leg, whatever leg's resting on the other leg's thigh. And taking some breaths with a gentle stretch, and that's pretty much all you need to know about this pose. Unless you're someone with an injury. Then you probably need to know some more. But for the average person, it's a pretty simple pose. Super good for the glutes. Gotta stretch them glutes. On the daily, stretch and strengthen and get them activated again. Don't want to give up on your glutes, people. They're your strongest muscle group. If you give up on your glutes, you're pretty much giving up on your life. Booty gains. Hashtag booty gains. And we switched a little bit ago. I was rambling. But we're just finishing up our figure 4 pose. Taking our sweet time, enjoying the gentle stretch. The more you can relax during these poses, the better. They'll benefit you more in the long run. Trust me. I like to take my sweet time resting after a very hard yoga sequence. Not that this one's extremely difficult, this one's easy. But it could be difficult for someone who's just beginning exercise. Because I've been there too. Alright, bring your knees in for a squeeze and do a gentle rock to massage the spine. The spine. Put the leg arms at a T or with bent arms, I forget what that's called. And then rotate your legs off to one side. Just doing a supine spinal twist with the knees together. Take some deep breaths in here. You should feel it all through your side body when you breathe deep, and some in your chest, for me at least. And it should open up the side of your hip a little bit even. And breathe your legs back up to cross over. I like to cross one at a time kinda and get a little bit of traction up in my hip. You could also decide to move your hips to the other side of the mat before you do that to give yourself a little bit more room. I do that too sometimes. It's always an option. Whenever you're doing a recline twist, take whatever version is going to best serve you. And here actually the video cuts out. So anyway, we're coming back in to corpse pose. Boom. Just like that. Now you're going to take, like preferably 5 minutes, but shoot for at least a minute. And just take a bunch of deep breaths, shoulder blades packed on the ground, relax your hands. And when you're all done with your Shavasana, wiggle your fingers a little bit and come out of it. Come up slowly from the ground in the seated pose and say your little affirmations or whatever you like to say to end your practice with a little bit of grace. And there. Be thankful for the time that you had to spend working on your body and making yourself a stronger person. And we'll be back soon with some more foundations of yoga videos, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.